All right. So today we're going to be discussing a topic, the evolving relationship between product and account management. Now, in recent times, like a few years ago, we when we started the tech ecosystem, when people started building products in the tech ecosystem, the job of an account manager was just revolved around relationship management or accounts management or sales. This was basically it. But these days, we're seeing a trend where the role of an account manager is feeding into product management, where the account manager is tasked with getting information from the customers or from the clients, and then relaying this information to the product management team to inform product development and development decisions. So we're having this conversation to understand how this relationship is between account management and product management. And today we'll be having Folu Otubanjo, the key accounts lead at Paystack. So a very important thing to note at Paystack is that at Paystack, their key account managers are sometimes called product specialists. Am I correct, Folu?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. So just in case you may be hearing that word or that term, product specialist, just know that we are also referring to account managers. So thank you so much, Folu, for joining the call today, and thank you all for joining the call today. Folu, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself, please?
Yeah, sure. Hi everyone. Good evening. Thanks again for having me. I'm very looking forward to having this conversation. So I guess a brief intro to myself. My name is Folu. I work at Paystack. I've been at Paystack for about 5 years. I initially joined Paystack as a key accounts manager. So I was managing some of the biggest companies that use Paystack today. Just for reference, Paystack is a technology company. We provide payment solutions primarily in Nigeria, but we've expanded to about 6 or 7 African markets now. So we provide like payment solutions and both online and offline for businesses. So I joined Paystack in October 2019 as a key account manager, but I transitioned to lead the team sometime last year. So I've moved from actually managing businesses to now managing I guess the individuals that do a really good job at Paystack of managing our business. In terms of like maybe outside work, if I'm not working, I'm most likely in another country traveling or just like watching movies or resting, because Paystack is a very fast-paced, challenging environment to work in. So I just like to take time to relax. Yeah, so that's a brief intro.
All right. Thank you so much. Fun fact, Fulu has a very ambitious goal to travel to 197 countries.
How do we live?
And we are currently on country number 13. Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
All right. So we're going to 197. And she also tours some of the best restaurants in Lagos as well.
Yeah, that's before all the prices went up and prices gone down. Oh yeah.
We'll survive.
Yeah.
So you have a background in you studied in the UK for your BSc and your master's, right?
Yes, correct.
And is there any reason why you left the UK to come back to Nigeria and to Paystack? Because everybody, the ecosystem seems to be going the other way. Yeah. Why did you move to Nigeria?
Yeah. Okay, so I think a bit of background. So I spent about 6 years in the UK. I did my A-levels up till masters in the UK. And I actually did not want to come back to Nigeria, funny enough. I wanted to work in the UK. And I had no plans of coming back. All my friends were there, all the companies I wanted to work for were in the UK. But I'm sure, as some people, or maybe most of us, are aware, with our green passports, it's not very easy to get a visa in the UK. So that was like my biggest challenge. So I started exploring other companies that I could work work at that was not Nigeria, but like outside the UK. And I got the opportunity to work in Hong Kong for about, I think, 6 months or so. And it was a full-time job as well. But again, Nigerian passports came into the mix and I couldn't get like a continuation of my visa. So I had to come back to Nigeria. So coming back to Nigeria was not a choice. It was literally circumstances. Yeah, and then my family as well. They wanted me to come back to Nigeria for some reason. Yeah, so I was a very strong. I mean, like it wasn't by choice. So when I came, I think at the time fintech was the I guess the trend, or like most people were opting to work for those kind of companies. So that's where Paystack came into the mix. But as to why I came back, honestly, it was not by choice. It was just like the circumstances I found myself in.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
That's nice. Then, when I was starting my career, that was in 2020 in the fintech ecosystem, I was very, very confused as to whether to get a master's degree, an MBA, or just work on getting certifications and all these online courses to boost my CV or my resume. So, has your master's degree played any significant role in your career so far? And do you advise people to get a master's or go for certifications?
Yeah. So I would take the first question of if like would I advise people to get a master's? Honestly, it depends on what your goal is. For me, the what I found my master's to be very useful for is the network of people that you meet. Because with the master's I did, I met a lot of business owners across the world. So in China, Nigeria, Europe. So you get to meet those kinds of people and you just get to, I guess, rub minds and learn a lot of soft skills that are needed to work in the work environment today. I have friends that haven't done a master's and they are doing very well. They've climbed like the career ladder and they're leading teams. And they're doing amazing work, right? In Paystack specifically, we don't really look at, we look at qualifications, but then you have to have the qualifications and you also have to have the experience as well to back up things that you've learned in school. And for us, that's the main thing that we look at, like what experience do you have? Have you worked for our own team? Have you worked with business owners before? Have you even had a business? Do you have some product knowledge? Do you have the hard skills that are necessary to do the job? So honestly, I wouldn't say that I would advise people to do a master's. I think just think about like what you want to achieve. Are you looking to network? Do you want to own a business one day, right? Or you want to do you want to become, I don't know, chief of staff somewhere, right? And you want to meet like people that are currently in the executive space. A master's would be very useful, right? Also, it goes beyond having a master's. There's also where do you want to do your master's, because the country also determines if the master's will be valuable to you, right? You have to think about like what you want to actually study. For me, my Nigerian parents played a factor because they wanted me to study economics and financial management, so that I didn't really have a choice there. But you have to think about like what course you want to study. So I think it's advisable if you have some sort of plan to climb the career ladder. Same thing for an MBA, right? I don't have much experience with certifications, unfortunately, so I can't speak to that, but I have a couple of online courses that again have been very useful to my role at Paystack, right? So yeah, in summary, I would advise if you have like a clear goal and what you want to do, then definitely go for it. But it's not at all compulsory, in my opinion.
All right, that's fine. So the account management role or the account management team at Paystack, I'd like you to just tell us how it is structured and how it is like a little bit different or dynamic from other companies in the ecosystem, and what you do on a like day-to-day basis.
Yeah. Okay, so let me speak first about what the role is about. For my team, our main focus and our main goal is one, to grow the businesses that use Paystack online and offline, and also to retain those businesses on Paystack, ensuring that they don't go to any other provider or our competitors, right? And then we get a lot of, when people apply for the role, they think it's a relationship management role where maybe you're just supporting the business, you're offering support, right? But for this particular role, it goes beyond support. We have an entire separate support team that caters to support requests. For the key account manager slash product specialists, we are almost like external consultants, right, to the businesses that we manage, because one, we have to grow these businesses, and the only way we can do that is by forming relationships with the key stakeholders, so the founders, the CTOs, the CFOs, right? You really need to also understand the businesses that you're managing, like understand the industry, be an expert in the field of lending, betting, whatever your businesses fall under, right? So in terms of how it differs from, I guess, other companies, the role at Paystack is really more strategic, right? In the sense that you're offering, one, your expertise of payments, you're offering also kind of like a consultancy expertise. So we have a lot of people that have joined from consultancy companies to join like my team, for example, right? So that's, I guess, two ways in which it differs. And in terms of how the team is structured, so we have businesses using Paystack across, I think, Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana, our main markets today. Primarily, most of our businesses are based in Nigeria. So a lot of the team is based in Nigeria as well, because we need to form those on-ground relationships, right? So the team is split into two. There's the one team, the strategic team. They manage the top 20, 30 accounts across Paystack in Nigeria. And then we have another team that focuses on the South African businesses, and another team that focuses on the Ghanaian businesses, right? So that is how the structure is played out, right? And then this account managers manage maybe about 20 businesses. Well, of course, you have like your top maybe 5 engaging businesses that you talk to on a daily basis. Right. So in terms of structure, there's this strategic accounts team and there's a key accounts team, and then they play different functions there. I think you asked what was the day-to-day life
right.
of a key account manager, right?
Yeah.
So I would say our role is very sales heavy, although we're not like the sales team. We do a lot of, in order to grow our businesses, we have to do a lot of upselling, right? So we have to sell, which is why the word product specialist is in the role, right? Because we literally have to be specialists in Paystack's products to be able to sell. So a lot of day-to-day is being on merchants meetings or meetings with the businesses that use us today, negotiating, trying to sell a new product, doing product demos, working with the product teams to come up with new ideas, new features that we need to be offering our merchants. Sometimes a day can just be troubleshooting. Maybe there's a problem that has gone down technical wise, right? And the account manager is working with the technical team to solve a technical issue, right? But I would say on a day-to-day is roughly maybe 70% of your time speaking to your businesses, selling, trying to understand or trying to identify new ways that you can grow their business. The next 10% maybe working with other teams, because today I think the key account management team in Paystack works virtually with all teams today. So there's lots of cross collaboration that goes on with other teams. So ensuring that if you're working on a project, you're working with the product team, finance team, marketing team, right? And then the last 10% is spent on like operations work, right? Documenting your work, making sure that all of the meetings that you're having, you're taking notes so that it's visible to the rest of the company, right? So that is like a rough idea of what the day-to-day looks like. It changes honestly because this role there's a lot of moving parts, but on average, that is what the key account manager would spend their day-to-day doing.
All right. Thank you so much. So you guys released your 2023 report.
Yes.
And it was very, very nice. Like, I like the video format and everything. It was very good. And one thing I noticed was that one of your colleagues, Osaro Aibokwe, was part of, like, he was giving some updates on the product, transfers and all of that. And he does not work on the product team, or he's not a developer.
Yeah.
How does your role as an account manager or in account management feed into product development?
Yeah. Thanks for that question. Yeah, now I wish Osaro was here because he's literally the product person on our team. But yes, essentially account managers, yes, we are primarily accounts managers to the businesses. But because there's also product knowledge that we have to have, we have a few people on the key accounts team that sits on or double as a PM or a product manager on the product team. And the way it works is sometimes you can just show interest. You're interested in maybe a cards products, right? And you want to learn more about cards at Paystack, and you start joining stand-ups with the product team, right? That is one way. I think that's also how Osaro, to be very honest, got involved in the product work. Even myself as well, at a point I was doing key account management work, and I was on the cards team at Paystack. So I was also doing learning a lot about the products there and also doing businesses. So the way it works is one, just like interest, because Paystack is a very, we are we don't like to call ourselves a startup, I guess, because we are like 7 years into the game now. But there's a lot of things we've not figured out. We're doing a lot of hiring as well, trying to close lots of vacancies. So you see that some people double as or do two different roles, because again, it's a super fast-paced environment. Multiple things are happening at the same time. So we like people to volunteer, to take on projects as long as you have the bandwidth, right? And once you indicate that product is something that you want to do, you can easily start working with the product team. We've had a lot of people on my team that have transitioned to PMs, and they're doing PM work full time, right?
Oh, wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, in terms of how it works, it's literally just indicating interest, and then also just making sure that your time is balanced between, I guess, key accounts work and products work.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys look out for when hiring to join the Paystack key account management team? Now, I'm
Yeah.
asking this because Paystack is like one of the most sought after companies in Nigeria, like in the tech ecosystem to work with. I know a couple of people that have applied to Paystack 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and they don't even get to the interview stage. So what is that thing that you guys look out for when hiring, particularly for key account management?
Yeah, thanks. It's very funny because I literally just came out of hiring conversations like 2 weeks ago, so I'm fresh into. I have some fresh ideas. So yes, we have a lot of people that applied to Paystack. I think at a point we were hiring for 2 people, and we had like 1,000 people on the first day apply, just to give you a sense of the numbers,
Wow.
right? Yeah. So for us at Paystack, I think there 4 different areas that we look for, and I will speak specifically to my role, right? The first thing is that you have to be smart, and it's not just book smart. You have to show that you can apply whatever knowledge you have in the product space to real life examples, right? So we have in the course of our interview process, you do like case study videos, you do like actual analysis work, right? So you have to be smart. That's the first, I guess, criteria. For this role specifically, there are lots of hard skills that we look out for. Do you have experience working with business owners? Have you owned a business yourself in the past? Whether it failed or whether it was successful, doesn't matter. But do you have experience working with founders, like owning your own business? Do you have experience selling? Like I said, most of this role is selling and negotiating with your businesses to try to use Paystack, right? Do you have evidence of taking ownership of your work? Can you negotiate? Do you have product knowledge? Do you know Paystack's products? We've had a few people apply for this role specifically, and they don't know anything about our Paystack product. They can't speak to what we do specifically, right? Those are the sort of like hard skills that we look out for. In terms of soft skills, communication, I think that's the biggest one on this team because this is a purely 100% people-facing role. So you need to be able to communicate both verbally and written communication as well, right? And you need to be able to work with multiple people, right? There's lots of context switching that's involved in this role, right? So you need to be able to communicate to a business audience. You need to be able to communicate to a technical audience, right? Because again, you're going to be speaking to multiple teams at the same time, right? In a day, you're probably going to have, be like I don't know, 5 meetings that you're having, right, with businesses, right? I think the last thing is culture fits. At Paystack, one of the when I ask people why do you want to work for Paystack, apart from doing good work and working with our team and growing businesses, the next thing that people say is the culture, and we are super intentional about like the people that we hire, and we want to make sure that they're a right fits for my team and also for Paystack, right? So we even had people where like they were super smart, but again, when it came to culture, they didn't align with our culture, and we'll still go on with the hiring and will not hire if the person doesn't fit in with the culture. So yeah, culture fit is the last thing, right? But yeah, so I'll say in summary, know the Paystack products, and I think that's one thing we look for. Have all of the hard skills that are necessary to be in the people role, right? And then if you have experience working with business owners, honestly, is a plus, because you'll be talking to founders and CTOs and people that are doing great work with their businesses across Africa. And then I'll just be a people person, like know how to work with different teams internally, and then yeah, you should be able to, I guess, give feedback and receive feedback, because again, Paystack, multiple things are happening in a day, and you want to be able to work with your team members and your colleagues really well, so that you can get the job done at the end of the day. So yeah, I would probably say those are the, I guess, from the conversations I've had in the last 2 months hiring, those are like the key ones.
Nice. So at Paystack, you guys have quite a number of products that
Yeah.
you have to sell to your customers or your clients. So how do you prioritize which product to sell? I know that at this moment you guys are very hot with transfers, right? And recently you guys did, like, I think it was in July, you did over ₦1 trillion in payments volume in 1 month. That's very commendable. So how do you know which products to prioritize, how to negotiate, and which customers to give this particular products to?
Yeah. All right. And thanks for that. So I think in terms of prioritizing products, again, it depends on what's the kind of businesses that an account manager is managing, right? Right now, I would say that the two businesses, two products that we're trying to sell really well in Paystack in the past couple of months is terminals, our physical terminals and our virtual terminals, and direct debits, right? Which is, I think, we launched earlier in the year. So those are the two ones that we've been prioritizing so far. In terms of how we prioritize, usually our products are built from feedback from businesses, right? So if in the past 1 year, we've been getting a lot of requests from our businesses to, launch a certain product, we know that product is in demand. I think that's how direct debits came about for us, right? So if it's a product that we know would add a lot of growth to the businesses that we manage, and also Paystack would prioritize that, right? Terminals, right? And we're trying to increase the adoption of our terminals, because most businesses today, if you have if you have an in-store location, you would need a terminal, right? So again, they would prioritize that, because again, there's a lot of growth and retention that we can get, and market share as well, that we can get. So I would say, in summary, depends on the businesses that you manage, and two, it also just depends on what you are trying to achieve with your portfolio as an account manager, right? We sell all of our products, by the way. We don't really prioritize one over the other, but there are certain periods where we know that, for example, terminals is one thing that I can tell you that we've been trying to adopt, and we're doing a really good job of getting more people to use our terminals, right? So I guess that's how it works in terms of like prioritizing products to sell. In terms of negotiation, and that is what we spend. I think after selling and convincing a business to use the product, the next thing is negotiating, right? And we spend a lot of time that is spent on that. Again, we because we value the relationships that we have with our businesses, and we try to meet on the middle ground, right? If we're negotiating on fees, there's a lot of like negotiation conversations that go into that, right? And I think for that, it's just about having, I think that's where the relationship would come in, right? If you have a really, really good relationship with your merchants, with the CEO or the CTO, for example, you can easily just, use your relationship and leverage that to, get a good deal for the merchants. Or you could just bring in like other people on the team. We've had situations where like maybe the account manager has been doing the negotiation and they bring in somebody, maybe myself as the manager, or they bring in somebody on the product team or to help in negotiation, and things move smoothly, right? Yeah, you never know with people because like it's mostly a people facing role. But yeah, in negotiation, it's down to the relationship that you build, right? It goes a really, really long way in moving those negotiation conversations faster.
So you mentioned something about building relationships, right?
Yeah.
And account management being a people-facing role. Now, one thing with account management is you're like the middleman between the external clients and the internal stakeholders. You have to manage both relationships. And in my experience, some of the wars you will fight are even internally with developers, with product managers, with the management. Now, when you're trying to negotiate a pricing or the commercials, and then your management is like, we are not budging on this price. And you know that like the market is very competitive now. So how do you manage these internal relationships and build the relationships very well with these guys?
Yeah.
At the same time, get what you're looking for with your external clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that question because that's literally what I do mostly on a day-to-day basis, unblocking my team. But yeah, I think the way we look at it is that as Paystack, we have a goal, right? And everybody in the company is working towards the same goal. Yes, different teams would have different priorities and different roadmaps and pipelines that are working on, which is expected. But for us, the way we go about it is literally sometimes we just go the numbers routes, right? If an account manager knows that this particular business is asking for, I don't know, this particular discounts, right? And we'll get a lot of their volumes, we'll go to the pricing committee and let them know the best case scenario and worst case scenario. So the worst case scenario being like, this is the money, this is the volumes that we're going to lose out on if we are not able to give this particular discount to this customer, right? In some instances, we've even said, okay, we can give you this discount, but we also need this in return because again, it's a negotiation, right? If we're giving you a discount, we'd also want something else, right? So sometimes we negotiate that, okay, if we give you a discount on this particular channel, right, you'd have to use Paystack for this other channel, right? And those conversations, those kinds of negotiations go very smoothly, right? If it's I think the biggest one we face today is with the product team and with engineers. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
engineers
particularly.
specifically. Yeah. So for engineers, what has worked for my team, or what I usually advise people on my team is, if you're at a point where you're not getting I guess, response or quick feedback from the engineers, the first thing I do is just like tell them to escalate to me, right? Because for some reason, once like I get involved, things move faster, right? And then I also encourage the engineers to sometimes join merchants calls, right? Because sometimes when you get the feedback from your colleague who works in the account management team, you don't really get the sense of how urgent it is, right? But if you join the merchants meeting or if you join the meeting with the business, it's good for them to also see like how important it is to the business, right? So sometimes we bring the engineers, we literally just said, okay, you know what? It's like you are not understanding how important this is. Like we have a meeting scheduled with the merchants tomorrow. Can you join and just listen in, right? And again, that has helped like form the urgency with the engineering team, right? In Paystack today, we've created a system where we have dedicated developers for our key accounts today, right? And they get priority technical support. And that has really, really helped because again, when it comes to technical support or engineering issues in general, we all know that some businesses are really fast, right? They want to go live as quickly as possible, right? So we have that process in place, and that has also worked to move conversations along. But the biggest thing that really works is just like letting the other team know that if we don't do this, this is what we're going to lose out on, right? And again, because everybody's working towards the same goal of more market share, getting more business, people start being in alignment. Sometimes if the product team can meet a timeline the merchant has set, it's now becomes okay, what can we do? Where's the middle? If we can't do this week or next month, can we do next 2 months, right? And those are like some of the, like, I guess, negotiations that you have to do with the other teams, right? So yeah, I would probably say like that's what I probably advise. I know I've said a lot, but yeah, I hope that's clear in some sort of way.
All right, that's great. Um, Now, my next question is, how do you, or what are the most common challenges faced by an account manager, right? Because when I was starting my career in account management and relationship management, one of the biggest challenges I faced was managing external clients.
Yeah.
Some of them will be extremely rude. Some
Yeah.
of them, they don't even understand that there are some issues that they have that they are not your fault. Like, they're not the fault of the company. Maybe because, the fintech ecosystem is very fragmented and everybody is relying on everybody.
Yeah.
So the issue might be from the acquirer or the issuer or the bank, and then they are talking to you anyhow. And sometimes they just escalate stuff to the MD straight.
Yeah.
And they start making you look like a fool. Exactly. So
Yeah.
what are some of these challenges that you faced in account management, and how do you believe we can solve these challenges?
Yeah. I would say for this role, there are two caveats, because yes, it's a people role, but we're also dealing with money, and Nigerians, or just people in general. Of course, those are already two sensitive, I guess, areas. I would say like the biggest challenge people face is one. I think the first challenge is just when you join Paystack, there's a lot of information and it's really, really overwhelming, right? And right now I have 4 people that just joined my team. And that's the one thing, like, that's the challenge that they're facing, right? They need to get up to speed with all of the Paystack products and learn that, and also still manage the merchants and the businesses that they're doing, right? So that's the first thing. Like, the first challenge is just like, you need to know all of Paystack's products in and out, right? And you need to really, really understand different use cases that can work. For the second challenge is just the people aspects, right? And we've had people, I remember when I was a key account manager, I got like threats that they would arrest me because, they thought I was one holding their money. You get a lot of like calls sometimes at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. shouting on you, again, because like you are the one that they have access to, right? And they can easily just call your number and start, lamenting and shouting, right? So that happens a lot in this. As much as this role is very rewarding, is also, I tell my team whenever they join or even before they join, that is emotionally draining, because people would frustrate you. We have businesses that sometimes they don't understand how payments work specifically, and then they frustrate you because the issue, like you said, is from their end, but because they don't understand payments, or sometimes maybe the issue is a technical issue, but you're talking to the business person, those kinds of frustrations also like set in, right? And then you have the occasional, yes, I know Shola, I would email Shola and and to be solved immediately. And then the funny thing is that Shola will still come internally and still come back to us or the key account managers to solve it, right? So yeah, we've had a lot of, I think the biggest challenge is just like dealing with different people's temperaments, right? But I think despite the fact that it's very, like, we open ourselves to a lot of, I guess, these challenges from people, I still tell my team that, like, one thing that we don't tolerate or at least on my team, is just disrespect, right? So if there's an issue, we've had a few cases where, the merchants or the business will be verbally assaultive to the account manager. Like, that is not tolerated, right? We've literally said, like, we'll allow your business go if you're going to be insulted the account managers, right? But I think for how to solve it, I don't know that there's a specific way to solve it. Honestly, what has worked for my team, right, is we just, again, show empathy, right? And because one of our values is practice kindness, so we show empathy to the merchants and to the businesses, right? And I think the most important thing is that once you solve the problem, or once you solve whatever it is that's cause the, I don't know, chaos, right? The merchant or the business usually calms down, right? And sometimes they even apologize, right? And I like to say that this role is kind of like a marriage, like you're in a marriage with your business owners, right? Again, once it comes down to the relationship, like the relationship also would, I guess, would be the baseline of like calmness at the end of the day. So yeah, I think the biggest thing, the way to avoid that is just one, on our team, we just leverage our teammates. We bring somebody else in, let the person see a new face. Sometimes it escalates to me and I'm the bad cop and I need to do whatever needs to be done to mediate the situation, right? But yeah, I think that's just the biggest challenge, just dealing with different people's temperaments. It comes with the job, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right, great. So you mentioned that in the first day where you released a vacancy for one of the roles or in your team, you guys received 1,000 applicants. So this shows that there's a lot of competition in the ecosystem at the moment. Everybody's getting understanding of what account management is. People are getting more experience. There are a lot of more companies now that are training people in account management. So how do you distinguish yourself to make you like one of the top people in your field in account management? What are those skills that you need to develop that will make you a successful account manager?
Yeah. I think the first thing is you have to have some sort of experience, and you don't have to have experience working with business owner per se. Even if it's as little as you did a little project somewhere, right, and you manage that entire project from beginning to end by yourself. It could be as little as you were selling Ankara, right, and you manage that entire business. You started, you sold, you had customers, you had disputes, those kinds of stories. When you when you do the interview at Paystack, right, and you start talking about your experience managing this project, doing this project, those are the sorts of things that we look out for, right? So the first thing is that you have to have some sort of experience, have something that you're doing, first of all, right, that you can speak to, right? Because if you've owned like an Ankara shop, for example, you definitely have negotiation skills, you have problem solving skills, you have some sort of operational skills, right? With just managing that little business, right? So have some sort of experience. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is know why you want to be an account manager, right? What I see very often is when I ask people why they want to be an account management, they say, oh, they can say things like, oh, I just want to work for Paystack, and Paystack is a very cool place to work. Or you hear things like, yes, I just feel like I can do very well with business owners, right? Those are not the kind of answers that we want to hear, right? We want to hear answers like, okay, you want to be an account manager because you're really passionate about working with business owners. You've probably founded a business yourself. You want to contribute to Paystack's mission of providing payment solutions to ambitious Africa businesses across Africa, right? And that's a more streamlined response, right? So just know why you want to be an account manager, right? I'd also probably just advise, talk to people that are already in the ecosystem, right? Go to networking events, go to join tech communities, right? And really, really get a feel of what the day-to-day role is as an account manager, because there's a misconception that account management is support work, and this is not support work at all, right? We have, like I said, we have like a support team for that, right? So build a brand around, if you want to, this is for account management specifically, build a brand around working with, being a people person, having those sorts of experience, right? And then show the hard skills, right? Show that you've closed a project somewhere, you've done this, right? And you've worked with a team, right? Those are the things that have really set people apart. When I see 1,000 applications pop up on our HR tool, right? And then also where you work also matters, right? If you've worked for similar companies like Paystack, that means that you already have some sort of, foundation already, right? We've had people that have worked abroad and they've come back, right? That already shows like you have some sort of qualification, right? So those little things stand out. I think the last thing is just have a very, very good CV. And good CV does not mean that you should pad your CV with multiple things that you did not do, right? I found that the CVs that we get at Paystack sometimes, like some things are missing. You will not see like name or they would give like a personal email address that is not professional, little things like that. Like once I see that as a hiring manager, I just disqualify. I don't even look at what you've written in the application, right? So have a really, really good CV that's standard, right? That talks specifically to what you did, right? And do not lie on your CV, because we've had a lot of people that they lied and they said that they were working somewhere else, and then when you call and find out they've not worked there, right? So yeah, I would say in summary, those are the things that would really, really stand out in, at least for me as a hiring manager at Paystack.
All right. So, in business here, there is what we call the Pareto principle, that 80% of your revenue comes from like 20% of your customers, right? And one of the things that we find very very common across board in all businesses is, if you're able to keep your clients for a long term, you make more money than going into the market and looking for new clients every time. So how do you maintain these long-term relationships and just make sure that these guys do not leave you, especially considering the fact that the ecosystem is extremely competitive now? There's some people that are willing to make losses just to win your business. And so how do you make sure that you maintain long-term relationships with your clients?
I think for Paystack, so we have a sales team that does the work of just getting the business to even use Paystack in the first place, right? That's the first step. And then our work on the account management team is now to develop the long-term relationship, ensure that they don't churn on Paystack, that they stay on Paystack and they grow on Paystack. So our team is literally dealing with the long-term relationship aspects, right? And yes, I think since Paystack started till now, we've had a lot of competition, literally a lot of competition, so many of our products, right? And we have businesses that say, oh, this provider is offering us X discounts. Why can't Paystack match these discounts, right? I need to cut costs as a business owner, right? We have a lot of requests like that, right? But I think for us, one thing that really helps, right, is we go beyond just ensuring that you're using our products, right? So sometimes we found that sometimes business owners, their pain points might be marketing, right? And they don't know they want to increase adoption with their customers for their products, but they don't know how to go about it, right? Paystack has a marketing team, right? And we provide marketing expertise. We can help in that area, right? So that is not even a product that we offer. That's a value-added service that we're offering to the business, right? And we've had cases where we sponsored events for some of our businesses today, and that again goes a long way into the relationship, right? Because there are lots of events that businesses are doing today, lots of conferences, and once they come to Paystack and we're willing to sponsor, that's something that is a good seed in the relationship already, right? Even little things like going to their office, right? Because we have a hybrid work system. We still make sure that we have FaceTime, like physical meetings with our businesses. We go to their offices, right? If they're not based in Lagos, we travel outside of Lagos to go and see them, right? Those things again go a really, really long way into the relationship again, right? Things like how quickly do we solve their issues? If they have a support issue, is the support team doing the good job of ensuring that their problems are solved within like a day or 30 minutes or whatever SLA that we've set, right? That again goes a long way into relationship. And we've seen that those little things usually help in usually help in conversations when the merchant wants to go to another provider, and they will stay with Paystack because they're getting all of this value added service. And also we've also gotten feedback that our success rate and reliability on our products is much better than than other providers. We've had people, we had businesses that have actually churned on Paystack and they've come back, right? Because they said that, oh, our success rate is much higher, we're much reliable, we have they have a better support I guess system from Paystack, and they come back to Paystack because of those things, right? So beyond the products, there are a lot of value-added services that we focus on, right? So ensure that like it goes a long way into the relationship, because at the end of the day, it's a relationship that will keep the business. And yes, sometimes we do lose businesses to other providers. That also does not mean that the relationship has to stop, right? The account manager can still reach out from time to time, right? They can add Paystack as a backup provider, right? So that we don't necessarily lose their entire business, right? So those are some of the ways that we ensure that Paystack, the businesses stay on Paystack, or even if they do leave, they don't leave with 100% of their business, right? We still get to keep some sort of percentage of their business on Paystack.
All right. So as a key account manager, what are the key, like the KPIs that you track to know that, okay, your business is doing well, like this client is performing well, or you need to like do some sort of intervention?
Yeah. So the first thing is for my team, everyone has a target. So each account manager has a target that they need to reach at the end of the quarter, right? And that target is based off of one, the kind of businesses that you are managing, the industries that they are operating in, those two criteria, right? But I would say like the metrics that we monitor is one, the transaction volumes, right? So how much are your businesses in your portfolio processing in a week, in a month, right? Are their volumes increasing? Is it declining? What is the trend? If their volumes are declining, what is the reason? We'll speak to the merchants, right, and find out what is going on. If they're increasing as well, right, we'll still reach out to the merchants to see, okay, what is going on? Have you launched a new product or thereabouts? Another metric that we track is transfers. So we Paystack. We not only offer collections, we also do disbursements. So businesses use us to transfer money to customers. That's another metric that we track. Another metric that we track is revenue, right? How much are we making from the transactions that our businesses are doing on a day-to-day basis, right? We also measure other metrics like success rates, fraud ratio, dispute ratio. What are those? And we have benchmarks for all of these different ratios, right? But I think the three biggest metrics to know if your portfolio as an account manager is increasing or decreasing is the transaction volume, the transfers volume, and then the revenue. Those three metrics are what we track on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Nice. So we're down to my final question.
All right.
So I had an experience some time ago where I was negotiating for my salary or compensation at a new company. And at that time, I had no idea about like what the salary range was. And then at the end of the day, I ended up getting something lower. It was when I discussed with someone else who applied for the role, I discovered that the company was actually offering him like 20% more than what I got. So since then, I've been very, like giving people the knowledge of remuneration for different roles. So in your, or from Paystack or in your own like experience, I would like you to share what are the salary expectations for account managers for entry level, that's people that have 0 to 3 years experience, mid-level, that's 3 to 5 years experience, and then the like higher level of middle management where you have like 5 to 8 years experience. What are the salary expectations?
Okay, so yeah, salary is a very interesting conversation because even in hiring interviews, we don't discuss salary till literally you've gotten an offer, right? But with Paystack, how we do our, I guess, salary benchmarks is that each job level sort of has their own standard remuneration, right? And for us, because we've been acquired by Stripe, our salaries are more, I guess, more Europe standard, right? I don't want to give specific values on the call, right? But I can say that it depends on the job level that you're entering Paystack. For this particular role, it's not necessarily, in fact, it's not, and this is not an entry level role. It's more a mid-level role because you have to have at least at the very basic minimum 3 years experience in some sort of in some sort of area, right, that relates to account management, right? Another thing that we also don't do is that we also don't do a lot of negotiation with salaries, right? Because we've done a very good job of just ensuring that once you come in at a certain level, you are getting a certain salary, right? And yes, there is I guess opportunities to negotiate, but we've usually found, at least for the interviews that I've done, there's not a lot of negotiation that goes on because we beyond even the remuneration of the salary, there are lots of perks that we offer at Paystack, right? So I don't want to give specific values, right? But one thing I can say is that because this role is like super, super, again, challenging, is rewarding in the sense that we pay really, really well. And we make sure that if there is some sort of reason why like you're not happy with your salary, or when we give the offer, that conversation can happen, right? But I think the other thing I'll probably say is that we also pay maybe a bit more above the average in Nigeria, because again, we are a Nigerian company, yes, but we also are acquired by I guess like a Europe, a US UK based company, right? So yeah, that is as much I would say as I would say. But yeah, with remuneration conversations, yes, I'm always happy to have these conversations because they're always very interesting, and people have, I think, the ones that are very interesting is people that come from abroad, or they come from a company that is not based in Nigeria, and they are coming back here. And then it becomes, oh, okay, so like I'm expecting much, much higher than this, and we can't obviously match that because we still live in Nigeria and we still have the economy issues here that we exactly. Yeah.
Very, very diplomatic answer. All right then. So yeah, now we're gonna have our Q&A session. Does any member of the audience have any questions, please? All right, Precious, you can go ahead.
Hello, good evening. Thank you. I've really enjoyed every single detail of this session. I didn't know this was what I was missing with your previous session, so thank you very much. You've done well. So I have three questions because I am up and coming with the account management experience. Currently, I am basically still in a sales role and
Okay.
combining that with customer success roles and gathering the experience. But she mentioned something around culture fit when she was talking about taking in people. And from my experience so far, I've had at least 3 years experience across different industries. The number one thing I've noticed across bodies, most companies use graduate internship to bring people into that culture fit because graduate internship, you know that you're going to be booted out when you don't, meet certain things that is required of you after a certain time and training. So I want to ask if Paystack has, and if they don't have, why they've not instituted something like that to actually absorb, train, and bring people into that culture fit. That's one, because at the end of the day, having 1,000 people apply and then you're taking two, it also tells you that the other 900 plus are people who probably do not have the right skill set as and culture fit. Also, they might have the skill set, they don't have the culture fit. So that would really help. Even if they are not absorbed at the end of the graduate internship, they learn it, or two. So my question is around Paystack's graduate internship. The next question is, you said an account manager or a product manager has to have a kind of specialization around the companies or the businesses they are managing. Basically, you have to now, you can't be a jack of all trades. You're going to be a master of almost the trades within those accounts.
Mhm.
And I want to ask, how do you go about being a master of accounts in different sectors? Because I know what I saw working with SaaS, trying to master a lot of things. Then I'm now moving into um, um, device security and trying to learn all those things. So, how do you really manage the knowledge base, having to work with different sectors? That's the second question. Like, how do you go about, growing your knowledge? Now, the last question I have is, funny enough, I've used Paystack. In short, I almost use Paystack on a daily basis. I won't say what I do, but I use Paystack. I am a customer of Paystack. And she said they have a lot of products, but I have to tell you the honest truth. From the consumer perspective, those businesses you're handling, the best product Paystack has done is they transfer product they added to most businesses, where they bring up a virtual account you transfer within minutes. Because I feel safer doing that than having to start looking for my card, inputting the details, putting the PIN. That is the best product Paystack has done. Aside she now trying to say they are trying to move, their terminals. So what I want to ask is, you say you usually gather feedback. Do you sometimes try to get an overhead or an overview of the satisfaction? Because most of these businesses could even be giving you guys a wrong picture. Do you try to get is the satisfaction from the end users of most businesses? Try to really know what is working, and if you do, how do you how are you able to sometimes convince businesses to go in that direction? Meanwhile, probably they are requesting for something else. So those are my 3 questions.
Okay, thanks, Precious. Yeah, I've noted your questions. I hope I don't miss anything. So let me start with the training program at Paystack. So yes, you're right. We don't typically offer internship opportunities or training opportunities because we usually look for full-time staff, and that's just because of the nature of the job. Because I said that Paystack is a super fast-paced environment. But that being said, we have experimented, or we are experimenting with working with graduates for certain departments. So what that means is we plan to go to universities, pick out the best of the best, and get them on some sort of internship opportunity with Paystack. We've had already a successful batch or cohorts from this graduates program that I'm explaining, but this is like super early stages, right? So the short answer is no, we don't typically offer it, but that's going to change in the coming future, because we already have some sorts of, we're planning to work with universities and work more with graduates, to have more internship opportunities and sometimes even consultancy, right? And we want to start experimenting with like 6 months consultancy in a role and see if you can, okay, if you do a really good job, you can now get a full-time role. So that is probably the answer to the question. No, we don't have it, but it's coming soon, right? The second question was around accounts in different sectors, how you manage that, and how do you go about growing your knowledge, right? So for my team specifically, usually an account manager doesn't have more than 3 industries. At the very max, you'd have 3. Most have maybe around 2, right? Industries that they are managing, right? And for us, we have a market intelligence team that we work with. So they do the work of looking at trends, doing the actual research to know like what are the major trends, what is the regulation that is happening in the lending industry, for example, right? So the first thing is we have a team that we work with, right, on the research parts. The second thing is, and that is actually the role, because when I joined Paystack, I didn't have much knowledge of payments, to give you an idea, right? But by the time you start working with businesses, by the time you have your first meeting with a lending company, before you go into that meeting, you need to know what their business is about. You need to go on their website. You need to do some sort of research, right? Because the first meeting is usually a getting to know the business, right? And you need to ask questions. And to be able to ask questions, you need to have done some sort of research, right? So that is part of the job, right? In addition to forming a relationship, you need to dedicate time to learning about the businesses and the industry that you work with, and then how you now grow your knowledge. Again, once you start, I remember when I was a key account manager, I had like an airline business, right? I didn't know much about the airline space, right? But by the time you start having meetings, by the time I started having meetings with this airline, and I started working with their product team, just by being in the meeting alone, they will start telling you like how their business is like operates, right? What are the pain points they're having, right? What is the regulation looking like? What are the trends that they're seeing? Like you will start talking about those things in those meetings, right? So it's almost like you're getting an on-the-job training / knowledge sharing session, right, with the businesses, right? So that is like honestly the best way, right? But to make things easier, an account manager is handled at most 3 industries, right? And like I said, you would have your top industry. Most of the businesses that are within your portfolio would have like the major industries, so maybe betting or lending, right? And then the other 2 industries is like secondary industries, right? And then your last question was around, I think you mentioned virtual accounts, and then you mentioned gathering feedback and satisfaction level. So yes, you're right. I can only speak, I guess, for the key accounts team, because like that my team manages or focuses on key accounts. But we do have a customer success team that manages the other businesses that don't currently have an account manager, right? So they do the work of, I think, sending out surveys, although I think we still need to do a better job of sending out surveys. We get feedback from these businesses. We've had feedback from businesses saying that our support is not great, right? We've literally had that feedback, and we had to change some things to make our support better, right? So every day, even on Twitter, people are like explaining or like sharing their feedback about Paystack. So that's the customer success team. They do the work of focusing on the other businesses that are not large enough to have an account manager, right? And just because you're not a major business doesn't mean that you shouldn't get support from Paystack. So the short answer is this customer success team manages the feedback and the satisfaction level from those merchants. And then you also mentioned that virtual accounts product is great. I'm very, very happy to hear that because we've gotten a lot of similar feedback on that. I hope I answered all your questions, but yeah, happy to take any more. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much, Folu. Eunice, you can go ahead, please. Yeah, Eunice, you can go ahead.
Oh, hi guys, good evening. Hi Folu, thank you so much. This was a very good session, even though I came with late. So I know that currently a lot of roles for account management, I most companies tend to be people who do sales. I wanted to get your perspective on what it takes to be a good account management and what you think companies should prioritize. And I'm asking this because account management sort of ties to customer success or customer success management, which is something I really, really enjoy doing. And because I have like a support background, it's been pretty difficult to move from that to being a CSM. And so I was wondering from your perspective, what do you think, or what do you think it's a good balance to pivot from just doing support to doing customer success manager or to being a customer success manager? Do you think it's the same thing as an account manager?
Yeah. Hi, Eunice. Very nice to meet you. So I would say it's funny because I had just had this conversation with somebody in Paystack that had a similar question. So while we don't necessarily look for sales experience, I think and maybe let me make it specific to your, I guess, situation so it's more relatable, right? The first thing that I would say is an account management or even a customer success manager is beyond support, right? You will need to have some sort of experience working with like business owners, right? So one thing that one feedback that I've given to to the support team at Paystack or people that want to join my team is just be in merchants meetings, be in business meetings, like join more meetings, right? And see like start getting feedback from the merchants on some strategic problems that they're having, right? Because once you start joining those meetings, you can now start volunteering for certain projects that you can start like volunteering on, right? To build things around like sales, around data analysis, right? And so the first thing is like, first of all, make it known to your manager that you want to make this move. That's the first thing, right? The second thing is work with your manager to start joining like actual strategic meetings, just like volunteer. Just ask maybe an account manager that you're currently working with your company that, hey, can I just join this meeting? I just want to be listening. I just want to be listening in, right? And that way you start getting some insights from the business and you start getting some ideas of how you can position yourself strategically, right? The third thing is probably try and do some online courses, right? I know some people in the support team with Paystack are doing that right now. There are a couple of courses on Udemy on account management that you can take that will give you some insights into like what to expect as an account manager. And like I said, I'm not sure if you joined a bit late, but like I mentioned that just have a lot of these soft skills that are necessary to even be in a people-facing role, like be a good communicator, know how to negotiate, show empathy. If there's a specific company that you're looking to join, like know that company in and out and know the products that they are providing, right? So that way, when you are in an interview, you can also kind of relate your experience to the products that they have, right? So you don't necessarily have to have a sales role, but you need to be able to show that you are very good working with business owners on a more strategic level, right? And then you have like good market research skills. I think that's another area that I would add. So yeah, in summary, I'll probably say that. But yeah, Eunice, let me know if that answers your question and if that helps in any way.
All right.
Hi, so yes, it does. Thank you very much.
You're
We'll
welcome.
be, in the interest of time, we'll be taking the last two questions from the chat box.
Okay.
Ohis is asking that what is the work culture like at Paystack, because attrition rate is really low. I think I was at Paystack Operators Roundtable where Shola mentioned that the first first 7 people who joined Paystack are still at Paystack. And you guys don't want to go to anywhere. That's why there's no vacancy for other people in the ecosystem. So what is that culture like, and why are you guys still there?
Yeah. And let me probably speak for myself, right? I've joined Paystack. I joined Paystack in October 2019, and I'm still there 5 years in, right? I think one thing that makes the culture really great at Paystack is one, like for me, I really like the people I work with. That's the first thing, right? Because like there's a lot of challenges that go on with this role. There's a lot of like fun activities that we have within my team that just like helps you take the stress away, right? And we have like things like when in a meeting, we have like a meeting dedicated to just talking about what's your highlights and lowlights on a personal level, right? No work conversation, just like what is going on in your life, right? And let's talk about that, right? Well, I'm working with some of the smartest people in Paystack today. Sometimes when I hear the experiences that some people have in Paystack, I'm just like, wow, like this is this is unreal, right? So I think like just knowing that I can work with really, really smart colleagues go a long way. And in Paystack, we also have the culture of like everybody works together. Like literally, even with Shola, like Shola jumps into meetings, like we have conversations. Like there is no I guess like barrier to people that you can talk to, right? You can literally volunteer for any projects if you want to. If you want to transition to another team, you can make that known to your manager, right? But I think the biggest thing that makes our culture is just the people, right? People are really empathetic, practice kindness. Literally, like our Paystack values are the embodiment of the culture that we have at Paystack. And for me personally, that's like what I really love. Apart from the fact that yes, we're doing amazing things, we're building amazing products. Like I really, really enjoy working with my team, and that goes a long way. And that's probably why I've been here for 5 years, counting.
Nice. So Adeyemi Adetola is asking, do you hire account managers for specific verticals such as supply chain? And are you hiring for such at the moment?
Yeah. So we don't hire for specific verticals. So the answer is no. And are we hiring at the moment? We just finished hiring. So we're done hiring for now, at least for this year.
Okay. All right. That's nice. So I'd like to implore you, Folu, yeah. So in tech sales and partnerships community, we're a community of about 2,000 people. We have across all platforms, Slack, LinkedIn, IG, and Twitter. We have quite a number of tech sales professionals or professionals in tech sales, in account management, partnerships, and relationship management. And we have quite a number of very experienced people in the community. So many times when people or companies need jobs or need to fill roles, they send it to our community leaders, our founders, Titi and Dara, and we post it on the group, and then we link these companies to like very qualified candidates. And we've connected so many people, like so many employers with tech talents, like Duracell. We work with RevWith as well. So when next you have a job or a vacancy, you should reach out to us first.
All right. Yeah, I can definitely do that. We're also looking for more, I guess, communities that we can share some of our job vacancies on. And also, my team might not be hiring, but another team in Paystack might be hiring at the moment. And so it might probably be great to know who to reach out to. So that
I would send you on IG. I will send you the two of them. Sorry, their LinkedIn profiles. Yeah, co-founders. That's Titi, Macaulay, and Dara. But Dara is using the Tech Sales and Partnerships community
I see.
email here, so she's the TSPC person. But Titi, you can see Titi's profile here as well. Yeah. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining the webinar today. Like you have seen, these are some of the benefits you get from being a member of the Tech Sales and Partnerships community. You can join the community. Let me see, the Slack. Can Titi or Dara join? Sorry, drop the link to the Slack community in the chat box so that we can have it. So you can join the community. You can join the Slack community. You can follow us on our socials. That is LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also follow the co-founders of the community, Titi Macaulay and Dara Ahmed. They are top guys in the ecosystem, and you'll get very much like good value from them. Thank you so much once again, Folu. This has been a very insightful session. One of the longest sessions we've had, actually.
Oh wow! All right.
Yeah, and quite a number of people already chatting me in my WhatsApp that this lady is very smart. She's very smart.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right now. So hopefully one of these days we get to work with you in Paystack.
Yes. Actually, looking forward to it because I'm sure we need more people at some point.
Yeah. All right now. So I'll be in your DMs on IG. I'll give you the LinkedIn pages of our co-founders so that you can reach out to them if you have any job postings.
Perfect. No problem. Thank you. Thanks again.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Bye.
Bye.